Alright, y'all. It is Tuesday, February the 13th, 2024. About noontime. I'm out here in the old garage. I want to let y'all see what's been going on lately. Explain some things to you, because I know I hadn't posted a video in probably been almost a month now. So I just want to explain what was going on with that. I've been having a lot of problems with my left shoulder. I think I injured it at work. I've been, I don't know, hurting for about almost a year now. So I finally went to the doctor, and you know how that goes. Oh, you got to go to a specialist. Went to a specialist. Oh, you got 6 weeks of therapy. Went through that, and that didn't do nothing. Went back. Oh, you got to have an MRI, and they schedule that, and people call out. They got to reschedule it. It just, it wasn't until last week I finally had my MRI, and they told me when I was going to have it, that, hey, you can't do any kind of grinding, weld, or anything, because any metal will get in your skin. That when you do that machine, it can pull it out, because it's a big magnet or whatever. So I was like, all right, fine. So I hadn't done nothing for a while. Finally got that done last week. I said I go tomorrow on Valentine's Day to get it red. So to all y'all, happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully mine goes good. I get told maybe I just got a sore shoulder, maybe some arthritis. Nothing serious where I gotta have any surgery or anything, because if I do, I'm not gonna be able to make them a video for at least 3 to 6 months, because I won't be able to use my shoulder. So, but with that being said, let's just pray to the Lord everything turns out good. So let me show you what I've been thinking about this go-kart. All right, I've been kind of pondering on it, so I decided a couple weeks ago, I set the engine down, and I said, well, why reinvent the wheel, take the metal and build a whole new frame, when this frame is pretty much suspension in the front set up. It's already done. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the frame, stretch it about 3 feet. I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to sit in the seat and figure out where my legs feel pretty comfortable. Because right now, if I sat in there, the steering wheel would be at my chest, my knees would be in my chin. So it looked like a clown car. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stretch it, get that done, and then I'll come back up with the roll bar, go down, go around, and go onto the front like it's supposed to. And then on the back here, I'm just going to do like a 67 to 72 Chevrolet with the trailing arms, the shocks, sit in a V shape. I'll put a trailing arm bar on it to keep the rear end located like it's supposed to be. All that'll go away. You won't see that no more. Like I said, I'll come out with little frame rails, square them up, put the little mounts for the shocks and everything. And then when I put my hoop on, I'll bring 2 bars and come down straight down to that. That'll make that solid. Done. Like I said, the frame will be stretched. Now, as far as this engine goes, on my first video, I had the motor and the transmission sitting on the floor. Basically, the motor was turned the other way. They had put a shaft on the front. I guess it was on a tiller or whatever. And they couldn't make the engine fit, so they cut the rear shaft off. Well, at first I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to use that. And I was figuring out how I could use the transmission, putting it on that shaft, and how they spin and everything. Well, everything on a small engine spins counterclockwise. And what I mean is, if you're looking at the back of the engine, that shaft turns counterclockwise. All right, so that transmission originally is to sit behind the engine, and then the clutch right here, your clutch right here would be mounted to that shaft. All right, and then it's got a belt that goes around, and this right here, this gear would mount onto this gear. All right, and now what that does, make this spin, and then this would go to your back axle, giving you forward and reverse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to mount it kind of like that, right above it. That way that sprocket can go to this shaft and turn the transmission in the route that it's supposed to. You're probably figuring, well, how are you gonna do that? I'm gonna take a sprocket, put it on here. This is a 1-inch shaft, so I'm gonna get a 1-inch sprocket. It's got a keyway still on it, so I can put a key and lock the sprocket. And then I'm just gonna drill and tap it. Some of y'all probably saying, well, why don't you just weld this sprocket on there? Well, if I weld the sprocket on there, how can I ever take its case off? You know, because you need to take its case off so you can take the governor out of it and change your cam. And that makes this motor like almost 50 horsepower. Right now, it's still got the governor and all in it, so that's roughly about 22 horsepower. So that's why I'm not going to weld it. I'm just going to drill and tap that, put a key in there, put a 1-inch sprocket. It'll come up. You know, this already have a bar going across, so these holes right here, it can mount, and this will be solid. And then I'll put a smaller bearing right here, so the jack shaft will go through it into the clutch. Well, once you do that, then the belt goes on, and I'll take the chain and come to this one. And now everything is spinning counterclockwise. And then this gear right here, I'll make a drive shaft. I haven't decided maybe if I'm gonna run it solid, you know, solid jack shaft about right here, put a bearing, and maybe then make this from here to the axle to where it can, you know, articulate with the rear end just like a regular truck. So that's what I'm thinking about doing. Then that way it ain't all the way up here, because that'd be a long distance. So I think I'm gonna go from here to about the seats. That'll be straight, solid mount. Then from the seats back to the rear end, it'll be just like a regular drive shaft. Then that way I can hook my cables up and everything to my shift lever, because they mount right here. Might have to move it, you know, away, because I gotta have room for my cables to run around and go to my shifter. But that's what I'm thinking, you know, this way. I really didn't like it. I liked it the other way at first, because then the exhaust pipes were facing away from you. So what I'm going to do is just come down, put some L's, and then run it off to the side on both sides. And then as far as the steering, I might get a new rack and pinion, because this one it's centered. I'm gonna make it where it's off center to where it'll be on the left side where it's supposed to, so the steering column will come up and mount. And then see this right here, you know, it had an external gas tank. So what I'm gonna have to do is put one of the little small engine fuel pumps, maybe put it on a rail right here and run it back to the tank, because it's not going to be up front, it's going to be in the back, because I'm going to have a little battery back here too. So that's where we're at with the go-kart. You know, it's going to be a pretty fun little project. I just got to get past my health issues, get that all squared away, then I can get on out here and really get going at it. You know, at first, you know, what I did is, when I was sitting here, I had to turn the motor all the way, and I had the transmission kind of like this, you know, facing it. Well, in my first video, I had said that these spin the same. Well, they don't. When you have it in forward gear, you know, sitting like it's supposed to, you know, this spins faster going forwards than it does in reverse. When you click it in reverse, even if it's spinning like it's supposed to, this gear moves slower. So the ratio is definitely different from forwards to reverse. So however I do it, it's definitely going to have to be mounted this way, you know, where they're both going counterclockwise. So a lot of figuring out, a lot of parts you got to order and get together. And, you know, next I think I'm going to try to find the sprocket for it. See, this is a 1-inch shaft. You know, most jack shafts and stuff are 3/4 inch. So I got to find a 1-inch sprocket. Then when it comes up to the jack shaft, it's 3/4 inch. I got to find the same size sprocket, because I don't want to go from like a, you know, 12 or 13 tooth to an 8 tooth or 10 tooth, because it's going to spin my clutch faster. So at idle, it might engage my belt. So you kind of want the same tooth on both sides, so it's like the same speed on the axle. So it's just a lot of figuring out, trying to find the right parts and everything. God knows I'm doing research and trying to find stuff to make this work, because this was an electric engine that hooked to this axle. So I got to find the coupler that'll fit this, and then I got to put a seal in here, because see where these bolts are at? I got to find a plate and a seal and a coupler that'll go in there and seal this to where it won't leak. Because right now, yeah, see it? See it drip? It's just like a regular car rear end or a truck rear end. It's got gear oil in there, so I got to get a seal to seal that back up to where it won't leak, because the oil used to go through the engine and the electric engine to lubricate it, keep it cool in the rear. So it's just a lot of little small hurdles that, I'm trying to find the parts that I need to make it work. These right here, they're golf cart leaf spring brackets, and they're a little bit tight on the wheel. So I don't know, just a lot of little small things I got to figure out, but I'm still working on it. I'm just in the background. I'm trying to find sprockets and jack shafts, that will actually work for what I want to do. I'm gonna redo all these brakes, because I want to put the 4-lug spindles and brakes and everything, so I can run 4-wheeler front wheels on it. I want to put bigger wheels on the front, not, I don't want it to, instead of looking like a dune buggy, I want to have more like a street tire, but I want the bigger rims so I can run disc brakes for the front. And then, I'll have back brakes, like drum brakes for the back. So it's just a lot of little figuring out, getting this part, getting that part, and, working on the truck. But I'm still poking around on it, still trying to figure out what I want to do, how I want to fix this, and getting the tubing and, paying doctor's bills and everything. It's gonna be a while. It's getting there though. All right, y'all. Went into the next one. Y'all be good.